Hello, Miss Anderson. Today I'm reading chapter 3 of Sarah Plain and Tall. Yay! Let's go. Sarah came in the spring. She came through the green grass fields that bloomed with Indian paintbrush, red and orange and blue-eyed grass. Papa got up early for the long day's trip to the train and back. He brushed his hair so slick and shiny that Caleb laughed. He wore a clean blue shirt and a belt instead of suspenders. He fed and watered the horses, talking to them as he hitched them up to the wagon. Old Bess, calm and kind, Jack, wild-eyed, reaching over to nip Bess in the neck. Clear day, Bess, said Papa, rubbing her nose. Settle down, Jack. He leaned his head on Jack, and Papa drove off on the dirt road to fetch Sarah, Papa's new wife. Maybe our new mother. Gophers ran back and forth across the road, stopping to stand up and watch the wagon. Far off in the field, a woodchuck ate and listened. Caleb and I did our chores without talking. We shoveled out the stalls and laid down the new hay. We fed the sheep and we swept and straightened and carried wood and water. And then our chores were done. Caleb pulled on my shirt. Is my face clean? He asked. Can my face be too clean? He looked alarmed. No, your face is clean, but it's not too clean, I said. Caleb slipped his hand into mine and stood on the porch, watching the road. He was afraid. Will she be nice? He asked. Like Maggie? Sarah will be nice, I told him. How far away is Maine? He asked. You should know how far away you know how far away by sea. Will Sarah bring some sea? He asked. No, you cannot bring the sea. The sheep ran in the field, and far off the cows moved slowly to the pond, like turtles. Will she like us? Asked Caleb softly. I watched a marsh hawk wheel down behind the barn. He looked up at me. Of course she will like us, he answered on his own question. We are nice, he added, making me smile. We waited and watched. I rocked on the porch, and Caleb rolled a marble on the wood floor back and forth. The marble was blue. We saw dust come from the wagon, resting above the road, above the heads of Jack and old Bess. Excellent. Caleb climbed onto the porch roof to see, and shaded his eyes. A bonnet, he cried. I see a yellow bonnet. The dogs came out from under the porch, ears up, their eyes on the cloud of dust bringing Sarah. The wagon passed the fenced field, and the cows and sheep looked up too. It was rounded the windmill and the barn windbreak of Russian olive that Mama planted a long time ago. Nick began to bark, and Ludi in the wagon clattered into the yard and stopped by the steps. Hush, Papa said to the dogs, and it was quiet. Sarah stepped down from the wagon and a cloth bag in her hand. She reached up, took off her yellow bonnet, smoothing back her brown hair into a bun. She was plain and tall. Did you bring some sea? Cried Caleb. Beside me, some Something from the sea, said Sarah, smiling. And me. She turned and lifted the black case from the wagon. And Seal, too. Carefully she opened the case, and Seal, the gray with white feet, stepped out. Ludi lay down, her head on her paws, staring at Nick, leaned down to sniff. Then he lay down too. The cat will be good in the barn, she said Papa, for mice. Sarah smiled. She will be good in the house too. Sarah took Caleb's hand and then mine. Her hands were large and rough. She gave Caleb a shell, a moon snail. She called it that was curled and smelled of salt. The gulls fly high and drop shells on the rocks below, she told Caleb. When the shell is broken, they eat what's inside. That is very smart, said Caleb. For you, Anna, she said, a sea stone, and she gave me the smoothest and whitest stone I have ever seen. The sea washes over and over around the stone, rolling it until it's round and perfect. That's really smart too, added Caleb. He looked up at Sarah. We do not have the seas here. Sarah turned and looked over the plains. No, she said, there's no sea here, but the land rolls a little like sea. My father did not see her look, but I did. I knew that Caleb had seen it too. Sarah was not smiling. She was already lonely. In a month's time, the preacher might come to marry Sarah and Papa. A month was a long time enough for her to change her mind and leave us. Papa took Sarah's bag inside, where her room was ready with a quilt on the bed, a blue flax dried in the vase. On the night table, Seal stretched and made a small cat sound. I watched her circle the dogs and sniff the air. Caleb came out and stood beside me. When will we sing? He whispered. I shook my head, turning the white stone over and over in my hand. I wished everything was as perfect as the stone. I wished that Papa and Caleb were perfect for Sarah. I wish we had a sea of our own. That's it.